Are Pakistan nukes vulnerable to attack? An audacious weekend assault by Islamic militants on Pakistan's army headquarters last weekend is again raising fears of an insurgent attack on the country's nuclear weapons installation. Pakistan has sought to protect its nuclear weapons from attack by the Taliban or other militants by storing the warheads, detonators, and missiles separately in faculties patrolled by elite troops. But experts are divided on how secure these weapons are. Some say the weapons are much less secure than they were 5 years ago, and last Saturday's attack would show a worrisome overconfidence by the Pakistanis, and the Taliban and Al-Qaida and other militant groups are teaming up in Pakistan. They're becoming more deadly, more organized. While complex security is in place, much depends on the Pakistani army and how vulnerable it is to infiltration by extremists, said a Western government official with access to intelligence in Pakistan and its nuclear arsenal, speaking on condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the subject. Experts say a more realistic scenario could or would involve militant sympathizers getting work as scientists at the faculties and passing information to extremists. Or there could be military sympathizers that could work with the Taliban or Al-Qaida. It's not thought likely that the Taliban are suddenly going to storm in and gain control of the nuclear faculties. There are enough command and control mechanisms in place to prevent that. But somebody could give them the technology, or they could purchase the technology, perhaps, with enough money. A U.S. counter-proliferation official in Washington said strong safeguards are in place. The official, who would not give his name because he was not authorized to speak on the matter publicly, said there is a major difference between attacking a nuclear site and actually seizing and using the nuclear material stored inside. Security at Pakistan's isolated nuclear installations is believed to be significantly higher than at the army headquarters, which is relatively laxed by the standards of other nations. Pakistan is estimated to have at least between 70 and 90 nuclear warheads, according to the director of the Nuclear Information Project of the Federation of American Scientists. One expert on Pakistani security at the University of Bradford in Britain said militants have struck near an air base where nuclear weapons are believed to be stored. In other places where missiles that could carry nuclear weapons are believed to be assembled. Fear of infiltration. Pakistan uses armed forces personnel to guard nuclear weapons faculties, and it physically separates warhead cores from their detonation components. The components are stored in protected underground sites. The warheads themselves are electronically locked to ensure they cannot be detonated if they fall into terrorist hands. The Pakistan military carefully screens and monitors the officers vested with protecting the warheads, drawing them almost exclusively from Punjabi officers who are considered to have fewer links to religious extremists, or with the Pashtun area of Pakistan, where the Taliban garners much of its support. There is the possibility, though, of collusion between cleared officers and extremists. It is a possibility. threat level debated. The personnel assigned to sensitive nuclear posts go through regular background checks conducted by Pakistan's intelligence services, according to a 2007 article in the journal Arms Control. It is being acknowledged by the world powers that the system has few loopholes. The system is theoretically foolproof, as good and bad as other countries' own systems. The U.S. and the British governments agree there is little risk of a weapon falling into militants' hands. Individuals in the Pakistan military have colluded with Al-Qaida in providing safe houses for the alleged mastermind of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and individuals in Pakistan's civil nuclear sector have met with Al-Qaida figures, including Osama bin Laden himself, some experts say. Saturday's attack somehow seems to show that the Pakistani military is perhaps just a little overly confident about some of its most important military faculties. If a relatively small group of people is able to penetrate into their Pentagon, but it might show something about the overconfidence of the Pakistanis, and that is very worrisome. It's surprising that they were able to go in there relatively simply. Although they say one cannot compare insurgents going into an office building, them going into a nuclear faculty for the nation's crown jewels. Less secure today. Although stringent security checks on personnel are meant to prevent militant sympathizers from working at the faculties, Pakistan's nuclear establishment has seen serious leaks of nuclear knowledge and materials by insiders. Top government scientist A.Q. Khan operated a global black market nuclear network for more than a decade while he was uncloaked, or until he was uncloaked by U.S. intelligence. And the CIA has confirmed a meeting between Khan associates and bin Laden before 9/11. Israel has not taken a formal position on the danger of Pakistan's nuclear weapons falling into the hands of terrorists. However, in a parliamentary briefing last year, the defense minister mentioned such a scenario as a nightmare for the world. Yes, this is a possibility now. It could possibly happen. Pakistan's weapons are less secure today than they were 5 years ago, and it seems they're even less secure than they were under the Musharraf government, said Gerald Steinberg, professor of political studies and conflict management. Steinberg said Israelis are becoming less confident of the U.S. ability to control events and put plans into action that would protect Pakistan's nuclear stockpile. So, as Pakistan spirals out of control, what is the possibility that something like that could happen? Well, I guess it is becoming more possible, perhaps. And there's something much more going on here. And these are more signs of the end times transition days. The transition is an ongoing process. It's happening. It's evolving daily all around the world. And there are many, many signs.